Today, we're diving into some absolutely fascinating behavioral research from Dr. Shadé Zahrai. It's all about how we process self-doubt. Think about how you feel right now. Honestly, most of us walk through life feeling like we're dragging around this massive, emotional, weighted vest of self-doubt every single day, right? We let all of that internal criticism weigh us down, dictate our choices, and just totally stifle our true potential. But today, we're going to learn how to take that vest off for good, using a really cool concept called mental choreography.
But hey, before we get into the heavy science of it all, I've got to ask you something. What if I told you that most of your problems aren't actually real, but they're basically just scars you've drawn on your own face? I know, no way, right? It's a completely mind-bending question, and it really challenges our whole perception of reality. But by the end of this explainer, you're going to understand exactly what that means and how those self-limiting beliefs are literally creating the negative reality you live in. Okay, let's get into it. But actually, really quick before we do, my team just handed me some numbers showing that 57% of you watching aren't actually subscribed yet. Wow. So my goal is to get that subscribed slice up to at least 50%. I know you're the kind of person who loves supporting the people who support you, and hitting that button is literally the #1 way to help our team keep putting these explainers together. So a huge thank you for that. All right, let's hit the research. Section 1. The scars we draw. Dr. Zahrai shared a psychological study about this that absolutely blew my mind. So get this. Researchers took a group of participants and used makeup to draw these highly visible, really jagged-looking scars right on their faces. Then, they told these folks they were going out into the real world to see how strangers reacted to their facial disfigurement. But here's the catch. Right before sending them out, the researchers applied a moisturizer that secretly wiped the scars off completely. So these participants had totally normal, unblemished faces. Yet when they came back, they overwhelmingly reported feeling judged, stared at, and treated coldly by pretty much everyone they met. Crazy, right? What happened here is called expectation bias. It means we don't see the world as it is. We see it exactly as we expect it to be. Those people went out expecting to be treated poorly, so their brains went into overdrive, actively scanning for and even manufacturing evidence to back that up. They felt judged simply because they expected to be judged. They created their own negative reality. And honestly, we do the exact same thing with our own self-doubt every single day. Section 2. The physics of self-doubt. Let's look at how we actually internalize this doubt. To really wrap our heads around how expectation bias and doubt interact, I want you to imagine a glass of water. That water, that's your internal self-image. It's your energy, your baseline confidence. Now, think about how two totally different types of negative experiences interact with that water. First, picture a ping-pong ball. When you make a minor mistake and drop a ping-pong ball onto the water, it just bounces and floats right on the surface. This is what healthy doubt looks like. It's fleeting. You think, well, I'm just having a bad hair day, or I totally fumbled that one presentation. The thought is there, sure, but it doesn't sink into your soul. But now, contrast that with a really heavy golf ball. Drop that into the glass, and what happens? It makes a huge splash, spilling your internal energy everywhere, and it sinks violently right to the bottom. That is internalized self-doubt. It completely bypasses "I made a mistake" and goes straight for the jugular with "I am ugly" or "I am fundamentally unworthy." Section 3. Entering the void. The messy middle stage. Look, eventually we all get exhausted by carrying that heavy golf ball around. We decide, okay, I want to fix myself. I want to stop hating myself, stop the doubt, and finally build some real confidence. So we do the grueling work of reaching deep into the glass to scoop that heavy golf ball out. But here is the tragedy that literally nobody warns you about. When you pull that golf ball out, the water doesn't just magically refill itself. No, you are left with the void. And man, it is a terrifying middle stage. You've removed the toxic internalized doubt, but because that doubt was the very thing driving your behavior for so long, maybe it fuels your perfectionism or your chronic people-pleasing, you suddenly have no clue who you even are without it. You're just empty. You managed to stop the negative self-talk, which is great, but you haven't actually built the positive foundation to replace it yet. Section 4. The 4 A's framework. This is how we build unshakable big trust. So the absolutely crucial question is, how do we actually fill that void? How do we replace the space left by that golf ball with an unshakable big trust in ourselves? Well, Dr. Zahrai gives us the exact map we need. She calls it the 4 A's framework. These are 4 essential attributes you've got to cultivate to properly refill your glass. The very first A is acceptance. And this simply means accepting that you, my friend, are a work in progress. If you're sitting there struggling with this, I want you to mentally or literally make what we call a care less list right now. Seriously, jot down everything you are deliberately going to choose to care less about from here on out. Your physical appearance on a random Tuesday? Add it. What some stranger at the grocery store thinks of you? Add it. Past mistakes you literally can't change? On the list. You have to actively choose to care less about those things so you can shift all that wasted energy back to what actually matters. And to truly practice acceptance, we have got to stop over-apologizing for who we are. For example, instead of saying, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I'm so emotional," which, by the way, just drops another massive golf ball of shame right into your glass, try saying, "Thank you for bearing with me, I'm just really passionate about this." Do you feel the difference there? It's huge. You're accepting your intensity. You're reframing a perceived flaw into a massive strength, and you're finally taking real ownership of your own personality. Okay, let's move on to our second A, agency. This is the core belief that you can actually do the thing in front of you, or at the very least, that you have the capacity to learn how. Now, this is exactly where imposter syndrome usually sneaks in and attacks us. But Dr. Zahrai points out something brilliant. Feeling like an imposter isn't a sign of failure at all. It's actually a sign of growth. It just means you're stepping into a brand new arena. So, to build your agency, you have to shift the spotlight completely off your fears of the unknown and shine it directly onto your past track record of survival. Think about the number 34 for a second. There's this famous little anecdote about a master graphic designer hired to design a logo. The designer sits down, pulls out a pen, and scribbles out this brilliant, flawless logo in mere seconds, right in front of the client. The client is totally shocked and goes, "Wait, why am I paying you so much money? That only took you a second." And the designer calmly looks up and replies, "No, it took me 34 years to be able to do that in a second." See, you have a massive track record of survival, of problem solving, of real successes that you are probably completely ignoring right now. You have your own 34 years, or whatever your age is, of hard proof that you can handle life. Lean on it. All right, the third A is autonomy. This is your personal sense of control over your own thoughts and actions. And listen, this one is incredibly important for all you chronic overthinkers out there. If your mind is constantly spinning, making you feel entirely out of control, you are actively losing your autonomy. You're basically letting your random thoughts drive the car. So the crucial step here is getting that control back, and we do it with something called the worry zone hack. Here is how it works. Step 1, do not try to frantically stop the anxious thoughts. That literally never works. Instead, you park them. Step 2, schedule a specific 10-minute block in your day. Let's just say 4 p.m. Step 3, when 4 p.m. hits, you sit down and you worry. Let it rip. Give those thoughts your full undivided attention. But step 4 is where the magic happens. When that 10-minute timer goes off, you are completely done. You've given your brain the space it demanded, but you did it on your terms. That right there, that is reclaiming your autonomy. Here's another incredibly simple but super effective trick for autonomy, a vocabulary swap. Look at how a single word can completely change the physics of a sentence. Take the phrase, "I should go for a walk." The word should acts like a heavy weight, right? It's an obligation, a standard you feel like you're somehow failing to meet. But swap it to, "I could go for a walk." Boom. Instantly, it transforms into a free choice. It's just an option that's available to you. Swapping should for could magically lifts the burden and places the power of choice right back in your own hands. Let's move to our final A, which is adaptability. This is defined as the ability to handle the unpredictable emotions and the extreme pressures of life. You've built your acceptance, your agency, and your autonomy, sure. But what happens when you step into a high-pressure room, like a big job interview or a super difficult conversation, and you suddenly feel yourself shrinking? Your body language closes up, and that sneaky old self-doubt tries to creep right back in. When that happens, try a really cool, research-backed physical hack called neck flexion. Studies actually show that the simple physical distance between your chin and your chest determines how powerful and confident you feel in the moment. If your chin is tucked down, you feel small. It's just biological. So if you feel the pressure mounting, simply remember this little rhyme. Lift the chin, let's begin. Create that physical space. It sends an immediate, powerful biofeedback signal straight to your brain that you are safe, you are capable, and you are ready to adapt to absolutely whatever is thrown at you. Section 5. Action precedes motivation. Time to start moving. We have covered a tremendous amount of ground in this explainer. And look, rewiring your brain and fundamentally changing how you process doubt, that is not going to happen overnight. It's a real process. It's so easy to look at this framework and feel totally overwhelmed, sitting around waiting for the perfect burst of motivation to start building your 4As. But I love this quote from the author Elizabeth Gilbert because it perfectly illustrates why you just have to start. She says, make writing something the goal, not writing brilliantly. That's profound. If you want to build unshakable confidence, you literally must intentionally lower your standards just to get moving. Don't try to flawlessly execute the 4As today. Just try to catch one single negative thought. Just try to swap one should for a could. Action will always, always precede motivation. You just have to take that messy first step.
If there is only one single thing you take away from this research today, let it be this. You are not your scars. You do not have to be the heavy golf ball sinking to the bottom of the glass anymore. You have the tools now to pull it out, to face the void head on, and to fill it up with big trust. Which leaves us with one final thought. Now that you understand the physics of your self-doubt and you have the actual framework to overcome it, I want to leave you with a question. I want you to answer this for yourself before you move on with your day. What will you choose to care less about tomorrow? Really think about it. I'll be waiting for you in our next explainer. Keep learning, keep growing, and I'll see you there.